Merry Christmas, YouTube. You know, it's that time of year when everyone's happy, spending time with their families, engaging in other interests. But there is one thing you have to keep in mind, and that is death does not take a holiday, not even at Christmas. As a matter of fact, there are a lot of people who suffer greatly at Christmas because a loved one isn't with them, and that's why suicide rates always go so high during the holidays. Here it is, on the date this video was made, 2 days before Christmas Day. And this fact of reality has just hit me really hard because this morning I just had a death in the family. Most people probably wouldn't consider it family, but I sure as fuck do, and it was the death of my dog. My dog was, who was about 12, 13 years old, was suffering from an enlarged heart disease, and he had been throwing up a lot, so I took him to the vet. The vet calls me first thing this morning telling me that the dog has literally suffered a breakdown of its internal organs. When one organ shuts down, it causes a chain reaction. All organs begin to shut down, and he was dying. So, the dog, who was more or less my mother's dog, but also mine, I drove my mother to the vet's office where she was allowed to say goodbye to him, which is probably the most horrifyingly depressing thing I've ever seen in my life. I don't cry very often, but I must say this event did make me very upset. And I didn't watch them euthanize him, but they hooked up the euthanasia chemical to his IV and ran it through his IV. And you couldn't really tell a difference in him because he was so lifeless while he was alive that he didn't look any different in death. And I guess the thing that made me the most upset was wondering, did he know what was going on? And he did, because I remember letting him out of the house a couple of days previously, and he would go and try to find a hole to dig himself into. It was as if he was trying to regain his dignity, trying to die in a dignified manner, the way most people do. Most people, when they know they're going to die, they do not like people to be around them because it's not something you really want other people to see. And it really made me aware that if this is the first time in my life I'd experienced grief. I've always feared grief, but this is the first time it's actually hit home. And it made me realize that, you know, life slips away very often. But life goes on. Had I never met the dog in my life, I wouldn't have been attached to it or cared if it lived or died. Had I never known my mother, I wouldn't care if she lived or died. So it's all just about knowing the person that dies that causes the most grief. But on the other hand, I just wanted to say Merry Christmas to everyone. And have a happy fucking New Year, because I don't think most of America's going to. So my advice to you, if you're rich, hold on to your money and enjoy the fact that you're doing a hell of a lot better than the rest of us, because every day people come to me telling me about how they've been laid off and lost their jobs and how they've done this and done that. And I actually received an email the other day. One person was under the unusual illusion that I was rich and had made a lot of money off of people through the church. And I told her, I said, well, I wish to God your presumption were true, but it isn't. The church drains me. I'm the only one that puts into it. No one else wants to, but it's my church, so I guess I'm dealt with that responsibility. Anyway, have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.